I may have just turned this bike from an absolute basic budget enduro bike into one of the best enduro bikes I've ever rode, and a bike that I don't think I want to get rid of. All right, so the concept of this video is pretty simple. I got the Colossus N9 that Bikes Online sent me to test, and it's a good bike. It rides good, but it's in its stock form, and like any mountain biker, I want to throw some upgrades on it. So I want to do a ride on this bike completely stock, and then I got about like $2,000 worth of upgrades that I'm going to do to it, and then we're going to take the same exact lap after I've done all those upgrades and see how much of a difference I can really feel. Is the $2,000 worth of upgrades really worth it? Going from some alloy parts to carbon parts, what's the difference? Is it really worth the amount of money that you would spend on these upgrades? Oh shit, what did I do? So we're gonna go ahead and take the initial lap. Bike is completely stock. We're here at Spence Mountain, my local trails. So we're gonna be heading up. There's a good climb trail. It's got some good little techie climb sections. So we'll go up and down those rocky sections, get a good feel for how this does with the chunk. And then we got Speed King, a good flow trail that will come down, get some good berms, jumps, a little mix of everything to feel how this bike does with stock parts on it, and to see how those upgrades perform and if it's really worth the money. All right, let the climbing begin. I'm actually pretty surprised how good this big, heavy, we'll throw it on the scale here in a little bit, and I'll show you the weight before and after I do the upgrades, but you wouldn't think that it climbed as good as it does, but this suspension layout really climbs well, and of course it descends well. This being a big enduro bike, it's kind of designed for that downhill chunk. All right, let's see how the bike does through this first little technical rock section right here. Make sure I'm down in the right gear. Little black diamond rock climb challenge. Realize this thing look like nothing on GoPro, but this thing will challenge it just like that right at the top. Get it. Yeah. Woo. All right, so that's kind of like where you get the love-hate relationship with these super grippy gravity style enduro tires, is that they're so slow when you're just climbing up the flat sections of trail, but they provide a ton of grip right there on those rocky sections. I was able to really just propel myself up those, so we'll see how it feels when I swap out the wheels and tires. All right, just finished the climb section. Now it's time to point this bike downhill. Woo! Sliding on that one, 1 foot drifting. Oh shit, what did I do? Oh no. I just clipped a rock and ate shit. All right, get back on it. Little pop, little whip, manual. Woo. Getting all those little feelings. See how this bike rides. Stock configuration. How is it whipping this thing around? Kind of manualing it, picking up that front end, sending it off little drops. Wah. And cornering it through these little corners. Let's try and get some speed. So just got back from the stock ride. Gonna get the bike stand out. Get the upgrades out. And then we're gonna do some on the trail maintenance. Hopefully I don't drop any nuts or bolts right here, but first let's get the pre-weight. I got this thing zeroed out. It's always tricky to get this bike on here. What would you say, Jonathan, average weight for an enduro bike is?
35, 36.
35, 36 pounds. All right, let's see if we can get this thing balanced on here. Come on, zero out, zeroed out. And 41 pounds, 12 ounces. Let's get it for our non-American folks. 18.79. So definitely pretty heavy bike. All right, so we find ourselves back in my garage right now because I messed up. The carbon wheels I'm gonna be putting on the Polygon to test it have 6-bolt rotors, and the stock wheels that come on the Polygon have center lock rotors. So I couldn't take the rotors off those wheels and stick them onto these ones. Therefore, I had to head down to my bike shop and spend more money on a set of SRAM rotors because most of my brakes are Shimano. So since I'm already back at the house, figure I may as well use my shop here, work on the bike here, then we'll get back out on the trails and test this thing out. All right, so we got those rotors mounted on there. Let's take a look at the difference real quick. So the stock bike came with these aluminum Entity wheels. We're gonna be upgrading to a set of carbon WTB CZR I30 wheels, so 30mm internal width and a whole bunch of other cool features to these things that make them strong and completely capable for smashing enduro. Also got that tubeless conversion we did with the Trail 1 valve stems because the bike came stock with tubes in it. And then for the tires, we're going from these super heavy Magic Mary tires with the super gravity casing right there to a set of Pirelli tires, so it should give us a little bit better rolling speed. And let's not forget those rotors. We upgraded the rotors from these stock center lock rotors that I should have noticed to these HS2 rotors right here, which should give us better stopping power. But let's go ahead and throw these wheels on the scale and see the weight difference just in the wheel sets alone. We got the old rear tire right here. The thing is coming in 8 pounds. There's no way. Just that freaking one tire. Trying to hold it nice and steady so you guys can see. 8 pounds, 3 ounces, which is, gosh, what is that? 3.69 kilograms. Let's throw that carbon wheel on the scale, rear wheel only. 6 pounds, 7 ounces for the carbon. Quite a bit lighter. So freaking like almost 2 pounds lighter just for the rear wheel. Now let's go ahead and do the front wheel weight of the old one. 6 pounds. Front wheel weight on the new carbon wheel. 5 pounds. So almost 3 pounds, and keep in mind I got the same exact cassettes on both, so almost 3 pounds just by upgrading the wheels. Let's go ahead and get the rest of these upgrades on there, head back out to the trails and see if, yeah, I know these upgrades are lighter, but will they actually make the bike perform better? And the other upgrades I'm gonna throw on this bike include a set of Trail 1 carbon bars, Trail 1 Rockville stem. Check that thing out. Yes, it's gonna look so good on this Polygon. A set of Trail 1 Vortex pedals that were just released. I'll be doing future videos on these pedals. Super stoked. These things have a lifetime warranty, a bunch of other cool features. If you guys want, click a link in the description. I got discount codes down there for you guys, and buying through those links helps support the channel. And last but not least, a set of Hell's Gate grips, which are my absolute favorite. The parts that came off the bike are these race face bars. These are the Affect with a 20mm rise right there. Let's see, what were these things at? 780. These are at 780, so I'm gonna be throwing an 800mm wide set of bars on there with a 35mm rise for the Trail 1, so those will feel a little bit different. Also took off this race face Affect stem, which is a 50mm stem, and I'm going down to a 35mm stem, so a little bit shorter stem on there. And with that stem, I was also able to take off an extra headset spacer, so lowered the bars just a little bit. So with a 35 mil rise, I'm increasing, but then lowered them. I don't know, whatever that is, a 5 mil spacer, 10 mil spacer, lowered them just a little bit. Also took off those grips. These are the Entity, just stock OEM grips, nothing special. There we go, we got the stock parts off the bike. Got those Trail One parts on there with those Hell's Gate grips, the Trail One Crockett carbon bars, that Rockville stem, that chrome stem. Actually, I think this bike pulls it off pretty well because you got the chrome kind of holographic decals for the wheels. We got those WTB CZR carbon wheels that are gonna lighten this bike up quite a bit. Even upgraded the rotors on there and put some little oil slick touches with those Trail One rotor bolts. Got the valve stem, because of course we did the tubeless conversion. Got the Pirelli tires, the Scorpion Enduro mixed compound up front. So that's a nice, you know, kind of beefy tire up front. Still not quite as much grip as you had on those Magic Marys right there, so it should be a little bit faster rolling front tire, definitely a faster rolling rear tire back here with that rear specific Enduro Pirelli Scorpion tire, and then these Trail One pedals. Can't wait to take this bike out on the trail and see how these things perform, but first we need to go ahead and get this thing weighed. Now is the moment of truth. Get this fat boy back up on the scale. 37 pounds, 9 ounces, which in kilograms, 16.9. Woo! That's well over 4 pounds lighter, so this bike just got a lot easier to get out of the tailgate. And remember, the majority of that weight came right out of the wheels. So that is unsprung mass that we're taking off the suspension and rotational weight, as well as putting some faster rolling tires. So I'm really interested to see how that feels out on the trail. All right, lap 2. Let's see how this bike handles some of the more difficult climbs now, because those super grippy Schwalbe tires were definitely helping me through those rocky sections. Woo. All right, man, you can really feel the difference. Now, I'm not one of those YouTubers that's trying to sell you guys on products or hype stuff up, but the difference on these wheels, the tires, just the rolling resistance, when you go up through those rocky sections, it's just so much easier to put down that power. You can really feel the difference in that rotational weight with just how easy it is to accelerate. These Trail One pedals, super happy with how grippy these are. Even on that Black Diamond section right there, I went back and tried the line to the right, the more advanced line, just because it was too easy to make it up. And when I went up this on the stock configuration, on the less advanced line, I was getting hung up a little bit. And when you get stuck, before on this bike, when I got stuck, it was hard to accelerate out of those. When you do that kind of pedal kick, where you kind of readjust your pedals and have to re-accelerate, it was a little bit difficult. But on this bike, so much easier, even on that advanced line, crushing the climbs. Stoked on these carbon wheels, the way those are handling, the tires, the level of traction. They got the right balance between the right amount of traction, but good rolling speed with that rear specific tire back there in the back. So let's go ahead and point this bike back downhill now and see how this thing handles on the way back down. That's really when I expect to feel the difference in these grips, carbon bars, shorter stem, and we'll see how these carbon wheels feel downhill, hitting those jumps and berms on that flow trail. Woo! Man, this bike is a lot lighter. All right, so heading back downhill here, gonna pay really close attention to how this bike is handling around the corners, the tire grip, Do I mind losing that grip? How this bike is handling jumps, how it's manualing. Man, I'm telling you, this bike is a lot more active, fast. I can feel how much faster I'm going. That jump, I usually have to make sure I'm really lifting to clear it, and just cleared it with ease. Whew. I may have just turned this bike from an absolute basic budget enduro bike into one of the best enduro bikes I've ever rode, and a bike that I don't think I want to get rid of. I mean, this bike was handling that downhill flow trail so good. These grips, that little bit of extra padding, along with those nice finger grips it's got underneath right there. Love the way those grips felt. These carbon bars, you could really just feel every bit of that handling, feel that suspension really working. That stem, that shorter reach on the stem is something I definitely like. Just puts me just over the front axle right there, not too far forward, and it felt good on the way up climbing as well. These wheels, oh my gosh, what can I say about these wheels? I mean, yeah, it's an expensive upgrade. WTB CZR carbon wheels, $1,600 for the set. Add the rotors that I put on there, that would have been over $1,700 I spent just for that upgrade. You add these Scorpion tires on there at $80 each, but that makes such a difference in rolling speed right there. Still plenty of grip up front, and I really liked on these looser corners that the back tire would give first with that rear specific tire, so the back end then would kind of slide out and redirect me as I'm going around a corner, versus the front end sliding out. That is no bueno. These Trail One pedals, man, those things, massive amount of grip on the way down. You can see they have a little bit shorter pins right there in the middle, and then longer pins. So it's a flat looking pedal, but based on the pins, it's got the concave design on the pin shape that allows you to be able to move your foot around when you need to, but still get massive grip when you're pushing down into there. So do I think these upgrades were worth it? Is there anything that I regret? Well, I'm just gonna tell you guys, you know, yeah, I do think the upgrades were absolutely worth it, considering this is a budget enduro bike that I wasn't really that excited to ride, especially at that weight at over 41 pounds. Doing these upgrades not only took down the weight, which I'm not a big weight weenie, but made this bike ride so much better, look a lot better, put those custom touches on it to where now it's mine, and nobody probably has a Polygon that's set up exactly like this. It looks good with that chrome stem on there, at least I think. You know, got those other little chrome accents, so yeah, definitely looks good. Now, the one thing I would change, obviously, if I wasn't doing this for a video, is I would do these upgrades over time, so I could feel the difference just between the tires, changing just the tires to figure out what tires I wanted. And I've done other videos, if you guys want to check those out, right down below, where I've done carbon bars versus alloy bars, carbon wheels versus alloy wheels, to do those tests. So if I had to change anything, I just would have done these upgrades a little bit slower over time, building this bike up this exact same way. I don't regret it. I know it's a lot of money to spend, you guys. Mountain biking is not cheap, but with the bike set up this way, I'm gonna keep it for years. It's a bike I would love to own. Wouldn't feel the need to trade it in because I put all those custom upgrades that I absolutely love.